If you are younger and have a boyfriend, do you have a really bad sin? Yes. Yes. No, check it out. No, check it out. Boyfriend and girlfriend is like fake marriage. Get married. No, seriously. I'm not joking. 15 and 16-year-olds can get married. You get married in high school. We know a few people who got married in high school. Get married. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not doing stuff to make it harder for us. He's not closing all the doors of what we're allowed to do and leave nothing for us except the haram. That's an unjust God. That's a God who's cold-blooded. You know what I'm saying? Allah gives us, He gives us what we need. If you feel that you want to do that and so on and so forth, that type of thing, then there are some young people who should get married. They should get married. Yeah, they should get married. Seriously. And once you look at it like that, though, check this out, though. Once you look at it like that, check this out. You're going to be more serious about it. I'm telling you, check this out. If a father told his son, check this out. If you have sex with a girl and then you getting her pregnant, you're going to marry her. You're marrying her. Or if a son told his father, check this out, man. And he's in high school. If you see a woman that you like and boom, 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 and you want to get married, okay, we can work that out. We can work that out. Now, if Allah is offering a halal, why would you say to Allah, that's okay, I'll take the haram? Come on, y'all. You know what I'm saying? It's like you have to admit to yourself, okay, I'll take the haram over the halal. You know, that kind of thing, right? So what I'm saying is that, no, why not? Then why not make it legal then? Now, why not make it legal, right? So that's why I really think that there's certain things that we should put in your court. We should put the ball in your court on certain things. We should put it in your court. Because if we put the ball in your court, you're going to have to respond in a certain way. And you'll have to respond like young adults. You'll have to respond like young adults. Check this out. You got to know what kind of questions to ask. You got to know what kind of questions to ask. You interested in a sister, for example. You got to interview her without her thinking that she's being interviewed. You know what I'm saying? And it's got to be more than just, so, who do you think will win American Idol? You think Sanjay can you say no? It's like you got to know how she feels about her father. How she feels about her father is going to be a reflection of how she feels about you. There's a connection. There's a connection. There's a connection. I'm telling you. And just like the sisters, just like the women have to ask the men. One of the things that you got to ask about the men is how you feel about moms. What type of son are you? You got to find out what type of daughter she is. You got to find out how does she respond to her brothers and sisters. How does she interact with her brothers and sisters? You got to ask questions, and you got to ask, and you have to ask serious questions that have to do with what she's about, and you have to be able to gain a knowledge of what she's about based on certain ways that she thinks. Seriously, it's all psychology. It really is. It's all psychology. But if we're not geared towards that way, then again there'll be more emphasis on the frivolous things. And we won't be asking some real important questions. Is there a question over there?
How do you know if you're interviewing that person, he or she is the right person for them?
How will you know? You have to know yourself. You have to know yourself. You've got to know yourself. This whole process of marriage, the first step is that you have to know yourself. Because if you don't know yourself, you're not going to know what your likes and dislikes are. If you don't know yourself. And so this process that you guys are going through, it takes off in high school. Self-knowledge, like you're thinking about yourself a lot. Sometimes we, older ones, we interpret it that y'all being selfish. But it's not that y'all being selfish. It's that y'all going through a period where it's like, who am I? What am I about? What am I about? That's important. If somebody asks you, hey, so check this out. What are you about? You got to know how to answer that question. You will have to eventually know how to answer that question. What are you about? That's like, what's important to you? What's important to you? What's important to you? You know what I'm saying? What are you about? That type of thing. Okay, you could say, I'm a Muslim, all right, but you have to be even more specific than that. You have to know whether or not you're an introvert or an extrovert. You know what I'm saying? Are you sloppy or are you tidy? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you have to know certain things about yourself. It's not bad or good, it just is. Right? Don't put a label on it. It just is. This is who I am. This is what I'm about. So first step, who are you? What are you about? Because what are you about will give you an insight into what type of spouse that you want. And of course, you have to keep the general things in mind. Of course, the God consciousness, the religious, and so on and so forth. Are they conscious? The stuff that Muslims are going through today, do you have a Muslim who's conscious, or do you have a Muslim who don't care jack diddly about what's happening in Palestine? They don't care about what's happening in Iraq. I ain't in Iraq. I ain't in Afghanistan. I care about the Muslims over there. You know what I'm saying? Or Muslims here in this country. I don't care if there's Muslims locked up for nothing. I don't care. So what? I mean, is that type of thing important to you? Is it important to you that you have a Muslim who's conscious? Not just God conscious, but Ummah conscious. Do they think about it, or do they not think about it? That would be something hard for me to take. For example, if a sister's not conscious, you know what I'm saying? My wife had to be conscious. I could not marry a woman who's not conscious. For me, that is just, I can't do it. Now, some people can do that. She doesn't have to be up on things. She doesn't have to be up on current events. She doesn't have to be involved in activism and stuff, and they can do that. They can do that. But I had to know something about myself that I can't deal with that. I just can't tolerate that. You know what I'm saying? So, who are you? And what are you about? You know what I'm saying? I think that's the first step in terms of knowing. Go ahead, sister.
You were just talking about the God and the mother. What about mama's voice? Like, I know some friends who are married and their husbands don't know how to really attach from the mother, and the mother is really, really, wrong to the wife. So if there's a distance between the in-laws, and how do you handle that?
There's a couple transitions that take place. The son is very, very attached to moms, which is not bad as long as it doesn't get too out of hand. And sometimes the woman is the baby girl. The brother married somebody's baby girl. And daddy still see her as this baby girl. And mama and her were tight. Right? You know what I'm saying? And so there's a transition that both of them have to make. A transition that baby girl, she got an imam now. Her imam is her husband. You know what I'm saying? And she's got to make that transition. And the son, the husband, has to make a transition too. This is my wife, though. This is my wife. This is my wife, and it's something that I really, really owe her. That kind of thing. That's a transitionary process. It really, really is. It's transitional. Really is. But what I'm saying is that you have to go through a process of. They have to go through a process of knowing how to balance it out. It's very difficult in the early stages, but they have to go through a process of balancing out. The whole concept, for example, of newlywed, they're newlyweds. This is your newlywed year. 1 year? No. The newlywed year for a marriage is not 1 year. The newlywed year for a marriage is about 4 to 5 years. It takes between 4 and 6 years for a marriage to mature. 4 to 6 years. But people are taught everything happens quickly. Just add water. You know what I'm saying? Microwave marriage, right? It don't work like that. It don't work like that. It's a real struggle. And those are some of the struggles that happen. Those are some of the struggles that happen. That this husband and wife now, how do they balance those affiliations like? You know what I'm saying? It's a rough one. It's a rough one. But you have to be patient with it, though.
Because it seems so it's going to have to take a lot of time to attach.
Yeah. And that's harder in America, too. That one's harder in America. It might work back home to have those attachments. Might work better, let me just say. In America, there's a different type of thing going on. So it become a bit more problematic in terms of how to balance it. But it takes patience, though. It takes patience. It gets to a point to where the husband and wife are eventually able to balance it. But it takes a while. And so they shouldn't give up. Because after a year, it's still there. After 3 years, it's still there. They shouldn't give up. You know what I'm saying? They should still continue that process. But that is definitely one of the things that we go to. A lot of times in Islam, couples get married, then they fall in love. Is it possible to fall in love and then get married? Yeah, both of it can happen. Definitely. It could happen before, it can happen afterwards. You know what I'm saying? It can happen before or after. Definitely. It's situational, you know what I'm saying? It really is situational. But you have to know exactly, if it happens before though, you got to know exactly what you fell in love with though. It's not going to be the same type of love. It's not going to be the same type of love as afterwards. But you have to know what attracted you to this person. And it has to be something really substantial. It has to be something that really means something. It has to be something that's going to last all throughout. Seriously, y'all. It's got to last all throughout. If it's only looks will not necessarily last all throughout. Seriously. Really. You know what I'm saying? Huh? People get older. People's people's bodies changes. No, seriously. After